Now the thing is that each time we click on these, we get the same settings, you know. So notice that every time I click on a new one, my spacing keeps going back to that, and that brush preset when we created it was set as default. So all of the brush settings are not being saved. Okay, so I'm gonna save one out. I'm just gonna build one really quickly, and then I'm gonna save it, and then we'll do a big um, save of everything. So I'll do the mid brush. I'm gonna select the mid brush. I'm gonna go to my brush settings. Or no, let's go to the big brush. Go to big brush, brush settings. I'm gonna go to the shape dynamics. Pen pressure is on. Let's do minimum diameter so that we don't get a minimum diameter. Let's do our spacing so we're a little bit out. Yeah, that's good. And then I don't really need scattering. I mean, scattering is going to be funny. I mean, it might work, but it's not really what I'm after, so I'm not going to turn scattering on. A little bit of transfer could be cool, though. So let's do yeah, let's do big flow jitter, right? So you know, get these different. You can get kind of a little bit of difference there, right? That's kind of cool too. So we'll leave flow jitter on. That's a nice one. And then actually, here's where dual brush would kind of come in really cool. We'll do dual brush, and what I'll do is I'll pick for the second dual brush. It's a little bit hard to find, but I think it's. Let's use. They're right here. If you hold over one of them, you can see the name shows up. It's going to be hard to find these, but if you can, it'd be cool. I'm just going to take the mid brush and use that as the secondary brush, and let's change the spacing on that a little bit. It might not be the best idea, but do you see how it kind of cuts into now? And I get even a more crazy look. I don't know how I feel about that, I'll be honest. Let's cut that down. I think it might have looked a little bit better the other way, but you can, you know, I'll turn it off because I think actually I liked it better that way. For the bush, but you can see how the dual brush is really powerful, and you get some really, especially for randomized looks. It's a great look. Okay, so that's the brush. Okay, so it's got a couple things on there, and we like the settings there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say from the brush settings we can go to new brush preset, right? Kind of similar to making a new brush, but this is going to save this out with these settings. So I'll get the spacing, I'll get the shape dynamics and the transfer. Let's do brush preset. I'm just going to call this big bush, and we'll say well, let's just call it dynamic because it's a dynamic. I'll even put that lowercase, right? Because it's a little bit different. We want a different name, okay? And notice that it says include tool settings, and if we had color, it would include color. But so you can see that we're doing black and white, and I kind of think that's better personally because then you can change the color with the paintbrush, or your color settings or whatever. You say OK. And now we'll go into the brush tab. So notice the brush tab is cool because it's been showing us it's a quick way to get to the brushes. So remember, in the brush settings, it can be a little bit difficult to find the brush you're looking for because it doesn't come in order. It doesn't go on the bottom. They go, I don't even know the order that they use, quite frankly. But if you go to brushes, it's kind of cool. It keeps track of them on the bottom. These are your recent brushes. So again, if I go to branch, notice that brush settings, the spacing goes back. Dynamics are on still, so maybe I'm a little bit off on that one, but the brush spacing stays like that. If I go to my brushes and I go to my dynamics, yeah, we got the same settings that we had, and it's kind of cool when you want to do keep that sort of setup. Although you can see I'm a little wrong with that part, but let's not go there. So keep an eye on that. Let's put it that way. Instead, let's focus on the brushes right now, and what I want to kind of focus on with you guys is this folder or new group. And so if it's nice to have these all set like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of these and make a group. And it's going to bring up this dialog box. And so we'll call it Bush. Make it caps too. Bush group, like that. Say OK. And so now instead of it being the latest one that you've created, because you might create a lot, now you have Bush group, and you can actually close and hide, hide and open, or hide and show. Let's put it that way. The Bush group, and now you can actually see what's in that group, and it's really cool to keep track of everything. Of course, you can see here's the special effects, wet media, dry media, and that's what we're seeing up at the top too. They're all up there as well, but this is a great way to kind of just organize what you're actually seeing, right? And if you are having a hard time navigating your brushes, this is a great way to go about it, is using the groups as opposed to finding them, just looking for them. So the last thing I want to show you is saving out a set of brushes. So let's say, and I'm going to actually ask you guys to do this next week, is we're all going to turn in as a discussion some brushes, right? And we can all download them, and we can all check out each other's brushes, and it's kind of cool to then just create a really quick library of brushes. Some of them will be really cool, and some of them won't. And it's just you pick out what you like and toss the ones you don't, and you can always clear this whole thing out. So here's what the process is. You got to make sure you're not in brush settings. You want to be in brushes. So we're working from this window, not brush settings, brushes. And again, if you're not seeing that, you should. I'm in a different layout than you normally are, but you'll see that. You've already seen me do that. But Windows, remember, brushes is going to open that up, and you're going to see those tools settings that way, right? So I'm just going to click on the lines, right? The 4 lines. That's our options menu, and in here we're going to go to the preset manager, and from here I'm going to select out some brushes, right? And so here's my brush group. I don't know if I can grab just I can just grab, notice when I didn't have anything selected, I couldn't do save set. And so this actually opened, I think I can just grab the whole group. I don't even have to actually go in and select each one individually like this. Let's try the brush group. And then now I can say save set. And so what we do is when we save set, it brings up the dialog box again. Let me zoom out. And basically, this is going into my brushes folder. So I've already been here, but here's my KL images, and you guys all made this, right? You made a brushes folder, right? I already did one earlier, so I did Bush Set 01. So let's name that here. It's called Untitled Bush Brushes. So let's change that to, I'll call it, I'll do caps lock again, just because. Well, let's not do. I don't like doing that here. Let's just do Bush. I'll do an underscore here. Set underscore 02. It's going into my brushes folder that we already created. So save. And now, if I want to load that up, I can. So I'm going to select my Bush group, and I'm actually going to delete, right? So this is going to freak everyone out. What? Delete? But no worries. I'm going to delete. It says, and all the brushes? Okay. So now they're gone. Now, I think actually if we were to leave this, the original brush is still sitting there because it's loaded as a default. We didn't clear out the whole history here, but notice that it's not in the, it's no longer here. It's gone. Okay. So I'm just going to reload it. I'm going to say load. This is brush set 2. I'll say open. And now there it is, brush set 2. And brush group. I guess if I'd saved as a individual, I wouldn't get the brush group, but it's kind of cool having it as a group. And so now I can pick those out again. and here's my brush I just started with, or I can do the single one. So let's say done. So now I'm just doing one. Or I can go back into my brush set. So kind of not as happy about using the group in that way, but whatever, it's all right. Here's my big brush, right, and I got those settings, right? And so this is something that we can actually give to someone, right? So I can actually upload this onto Canvas and I can give this to somebody. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping we'll do next week, not this week. I'm hoping you guys play around with this a little bit and make some brushes. So I'm going to end it right there.